Say you've been working hard at improving your credit score by settling outstanding debts, and you're now paid up and you want to buy a house or car. How long before that reflects on your credit score to the extent that you're considered a good risk? We asked Annelene Dippenaar from Credit Bureau CompuScan to answer this question and separate facts from myths when it comes to credit reports. So Annelene, how soon before your positive behaviour impacts on your credit record?
It's very important for consumers to understand that one unique event won't necessarily impact their credit score and their credit profile. It is about the holistic behaviour of the consumer, continuous payment that isn't just one once-off event, but an indication that the consumer is willing to pay and has got an ability to pay their accounts.
So, in other words, if you've settled all your debts, how many months of continuous payments would a credit provider want to see before, or at least the credit score would take before that was reflected and improved the credit score?
So all of that will depend on the type of credit the consumer will apply for. If it's a longer-term credit, the credit provider will most probably want to look at about 24 months of payment. For shorter-term credit, they may look at a shorter period. So it depends on the type of credit that the consumer will apply for.
So it's not like you've paid off your debts and tomorrow you can go and borrow. Generally, it's going to take a couple of months before, at least 6 months maybe, before you're going to see the credit score reflect that information.
Yes, so it's very important again that the credit provider can see that the consumer is paying on a regular basis and it's not just a once-off event.
And in the case of debt review, you've exited debt review, your flag's removed, how quickly can you access credit?
So there's still a way for credit providers to see that the consumer was indeed under debt review in the past. So that information will remain on the consumer's profile. However, immediately after being cleared from debt review, a credit provider can grant access to credit to that consumer. It will, however, depend on that specific credit provider's risk appetite, whether they're willing to grant credit to a consumer immediately after being exited from debt review.
I spoke about a car and a house, so those are quite big purchases. And what would be considered a good score if you were trying to buy a house or a car?
It depends on the credit score specifically and what credit bureau the credit provider are using. A 650 credit score, which is a good score at one bureau, can be a bad score at another because they use a different credit score range. So it will all depend on the credit bureau score that the credit provider are using. However, credit providers are aware that a 650 at one means a 750 at another one. So it's not so much about the score, but about the bracket where that score fits in. For example, a good consumer or an excellent consumer. And it's typically a credit provider would like to see someone in the green, meaning a good consumer.
I had a question from a consumer who said she was told that she needs to take out a credit card in order to improve her credit score. This is not uncommon. Question, how true is that?
So credit providers do want to see some history of payment to determine that continuous payment by a consumer. However, it's not required for you in terms of legislation to have a credit history in order to be granted credit. Actually, the Credit Act says that a credit provider cannot discriminate against someone who doesn't have a credit history. So the credit provider, it does help with the assessment of the consumer's ability to pay, but it's not a requirement. However, it is quite a good indicator for a consumer to either have any type of history on their report. For example, it doesn't need to be a credit card. It can be a services account like a cell phone, insurance, or any type of monthly service that you pay to indicate that you are meeting your monthly payment obligations.
So if, say, for example, you took a credit card and you just took a really low limit of R1,000 a month, you set up a debit order to pay it off at the end of the month, would that still count towards your credit score?
You can definitely pay off and settle your credit card and your outstanding balance, and that will impact your score in a positive manner. However, it's recommended to indicate and to have behavior, like to continuously using that credit card and repay it to show that it's not a once-off payment that you're doing, but that it is a continuous event and that you've got the ability to pay.
So it's going to take a couple of months of using your credit card before it's going to impact your credit score?
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you so much, Annelene. And remember, go and get your free credit record, which you can get from each bureau once a year. And if there are any errors, please log a dispute.